The 1960s were a decade of contradiction. On television screens, Americans watched astronauts prepare to walk on the moon. In classrooms, children practiced duck and cover drills in case of nuclear attack. Across the country, radar stations rotated silently, scanning the skies for threats that could arrive in minutes. It was a time when the line between science fiction and classified military technology was thinner than most people realized. During this tense period, the Central Intelligence Agency quietly paid attention to reports of unidentified flying objects, not because it was confirming alien visitors, but because in the Cold War, every unknown object in the sky had to be evaluated as a potential national security threat. While the public associated UFO investigations with Project Blue Book, which was run by the United States Air Force, the CIA monitored developments behind the scenes. The agency's concerns centered on three questions. Could these sightings represent advanced Soviet aircraft? Could they expose classified American programs? Could public panic itself become a vulnerability? To understand the hidden CIA connection to UFO sightings in the 1960s, we can count 10 major incidents or waves across different American states, each grounded in documented reports, radar logs, or later declassified material. Number 1 begins in 1960 in Nevada and California under CIA Director Allen Dulles and President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Commercial airline pilots flying over Los Angeles and San Francisco reported bright metallic objects above their cruising altitude. In Nevada, residents near Reno described glowing discs that appeared during twilight hours and moved silently across the sky. These reports were documented in aviation logs and forwarded to military authorities. Decades later, declassified CIA histories revealed that a significant number of UFO sightings during this period corresponded with U-2 reconnaissance flights. The U-2 aircraft operated at altitudes exceeding 60,000 feet. At sunset, sunlight reflected off its wings in a way that made it appear like a luminous object hovering or streaking at impossible height. Flight logs later matched specific dates and times of sightings in California and Nevada, providing measurable proof that at least some UFO cases were actually glimpses of highly classified spy planes. Number 2 unfolds in 1961 in Texas and Oklahoma as John F. Kennedy entered office and John A. McCone took control of the CIA. Radar operators near Fort Worth, Texas and Oklahoma City detected unidentified targets moving at high speeds and performing abrupt directional shifts. The events were recorded in radar logs, which were later summarized in Air Force files. Although atmospheric interference was considered, the radar returns were significant enough to warrant analysis. In a Cold War environment, unexplained radar activity over Texas could not be ignored. The CIA's interest would have focused on whether Soviet technology had achieved unexpected breakthroughs. Even though no conclusive foreign craft was identified, the existence of documented radar logs shows that these were not simple rumors. They were technical anomalies tracked by trained personnel. Number 3 centers on Florida during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. With President Kennedy confronting Soviet missile installations in Cuba, Florida became one of the most heavily monitored states in the country. Residents near Miami and Key West reported bright objects moving horizontally across the night sky. Some witnesses described them as stars that suddenly changed direction. Declassified mission summaries later confirmed that U-2 reconnaissance flights were conducted over the region during the crisis. One of these flights resulted in a U-2 being shot down over Cuba. The overlap between reconnaissance operations and civilian sightings is well documented in historical records. In this case, the proof lies in the convergence of mission logs and witness reports. The CIA could not reveal that Americans were observing secret surveillance aircraft gathering nuclear intelligence. Silence preserved operational security. Number 4 moves to New Mexico and Arizona in 1963, states already associated with missile testing and military installations. Residents near Albuquerque, Roswell, and Tucson reported fast-moving lights crossing the desert sky. Newspapers in Arizona documented multiple independent sightings. This period coincided with ongoing missile tests and experimental aerospace development in the Southwest. While not every sighting was directly linked to CIA projects, declassified materials confirmed that the agency monitored aerospace testing closely. The clustering of sightings around known testing corridors provides circumstantial but logical evidence that classified activity contributed to the reports. Number 5 returns to Nevada in 1964 and 1965 during the testing of the A-12 Oxcart aircraft, developed by Lockheed Skunk Works and flown from facilities near Area 51. Under Director McCone and later Richard Helms, these test flights pushed the boundaries of speed and altitude, exceeding Mach 3 and flying above 80,000 feet. Residents in Las Vegas and surrounding communities described metallic objects streaking across the sky at extreme speed. Declassified CIA publications released in the 1990s explicitly acknowledged that Oxcart flights generated a noticeable increase in UFO reports. This is one of the clearest documented links between CIA programs and UFO sightings. The agency admitted that secrecy surrounding advanced aircraft unintentionally fueled public speculation. Number 6 takes place in Michigan in 1966 during the presidency of Lyndon B. Johnson. Communities near Ann Arbor and Dexter reported hovering lights over swampy terrain. Local police officers filed reports confirming unusual observations. National media covered the story extensively. Although the Air Force offered a swamp gas explanation, the reaction from citizens and members of Congress demonstrated widespread dissatisfaction. The CIA monitored public reaction because mass belief in unexplained phenomena could undermine trust in institutions. The documentation of police statements, press coverage, and congressional hearings provides strong evidence that this wave was real in terms of witness testimony, even if the explanation remains debated. Number 7 occurred in Montana in 1967 at Malmstrom Air Force Base. Reports indicated unidentified lights were seen near missile silos and that multiple missiles experienced temporary shutdowns. Air Force maintenance logs confirmed that missile systems were indeed disabled around the time of the reported sightings. Under Director Helms, the CIA would have evaluated whether electromagnetic interference or foreign sabotage was possible. The existence of official shutdown records gives this case documented weight beyond anecdote. Number 8 brings us to Washington State in 1967 and 1968. Sightings over Seattle and Tacoma were reported by civilians and law enforcement. Objects were described as bright and maneuvering over Puget Sound. Newspaper archives confirm that multiple witnesses came forward independently. Given Washington's proximity to naval installations and aerospace industries, including major aircraft manufacturing facilities, intelligence agencies would have evaluated whether classified projects were involved. The clustering of reports near strategic infrastructure provided reason for analysis. Number 9 moves to Ohio in 1968 near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Residents reported structured craft with blinking lights hovering at night. Project Blue Book case files document interviews with witnesses in the Dayton area. The CIA's interest in Wright-Patterson would have been tied to aerospace research and development occurring there. Although no extraterrestrial evidence was found, the existence of archived investigative files confirms that these sightings were formally examined. Number 10 concludes in Colorado in 1969 as the presidency transitioned to Richard Nixon while Richard Helms remained CIA director. Colorado sightings were analyzed by the University of Colorado's Condon Committee. Residents described disc-shaped objects maneuvering silently over rural areas. The final report concluded that most cases had conventional explanations, but acknowledged that a small percentage remained unexplained due to insufficient data. The publication of the Condon Report marked the closure of Project Blue Book. Institutional documentation from the university study provides official confirmation that the cases were evaluated scientifically. Across these 10 sightings and waves, we see consistent patterns in states including Nevada, California, Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, New Mexico, Arizona, Michigan, Montana, Washington, Ohio, and Colorado. Each location has documented reports in the form of radar logs, police statements, newspaper archives, Air Force files, or declassified CIA histories. None provide verified proof of extraterrestrial visitation. Instead, they reveal how advanced aerospace technology, nuclear tension, and extreme secrecy shaped public perception. The CIA's hidden involvement in 1960s UFO sightings was less about concealing alien contact and more about protecting classified aircraft programs such as the U-2 and A-12, evaluating radar vulnerabilities, and preventing foreign adversaries from exploiting confusion. When citizens in Nevada or California saw glowing objects at high altitude, they were often witnessing the cutting edge of American reconnaissance technology. When radar operators in Texas logged unexplained returns, analysts considered atmospheric distortion as seriously as enemy intrusion. When missiles in Montana malfunctioned, intelligence officers investigated every possible cause because nuclear security allowed no margin for error. The 1960s closed with humanity landing on the moon, demonstrating that technology once thought impossible could become reality. At the same time, the formal closure of Project Blue Book signaled the end of public UFO investigation. Yet intelligence monitoring of aerial anomalies never truly stopped. It simply became integrated into broader defense systems. The hidden story of CIA UFO sightings in the 1960s is ultimately a story of secrecy intersecting with public imagination. 10 documented waves across multiple American states show that people genuinely saw objects they could not identify. Government records confirm that many sightings coincided with classified aircraft, missile tests, and advanced aerospace experimentation. The mystery was not necessarily extraterrestrial. It was technological, political, and deeply tied to Cold War strategy. In a decade defined by nuclear brinkmanship and rapid innovation, the sky became a mirror reflecting both human ingenuity and human fear. The CIA watched carefully because in that era, even a single unexplained light could carry consequences measured not just in headlines, but in global stability.